On the day of the flower viewing banquet, I unexpectedly had a tryst with second young Master Yen, was forced to break off my former engagement, and hastily married into the Yen prince's manor. I had thought it would be difficult to climb into such a high-status family, but unexpectedly, after marriage, my mother-in-law was kind, my husband was easy to coax, and the children were sensible. Other than taking medicine, I never suffered any hardship, living comfortably until the age of 75. On my deathbed, recalling the past, I couldn't help but hold Yan Zhao's hand and say, "In this life, things went awry between us, but it turned out not so bad. If there is a next life, would you be willing to be with me again?" Unexpectedly, Yan Zhao's face suddenly turned cold. "Shen Yao, in another life, you still want to have an illicit affair with me without a matchmaker? What do you take me for? It's not like I can't live without you. Wait, we've had children's children, and you're still this resentful? Why didn't you say so earlier? That adopted husband I knew since childhood wouldn't have had to leave alone and die young after I broke off the engagement." Thinking of Rongzhen, I grew even more melancholy. 3 good people. Why am I the only one who gets a happy ending? My eyelids grew heavy. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the flower viewing banquet. "Miss, please follow me." Someone called softly in my ear. I snapped back to reality, vaguely recalling what year it was. But the cup in my hand was already empty, and the hem of my skirt was wet from spilled wine. I thought to myself, how unlucky. If only I had returned even the time it takes to finish a cup of tea earlier. A wave of heat surged from within me, and I dug my nails into my palm. I followed the maidservant as we walked, and before long we reached the side chamber. My steps were unsteady, and I swayed to the side before leaping into the courtyard pond. In my past life, the maidservant had led me into the chamber. Dizzy, I tumbled toward the bed, but unexpectedly fell into a firm embrace. Perhaps the noise was too loud, because the person I landed on woke up. His voice was husky. "Which family's young lady are you?" I stared with blurred vision, unable to recognize who he was. All I could see were his red lips and white teeth, his strikingly handsome features, and as he spoke, his breath carried a faint scent of alcohol. Wait, no, his hand pushed against my cheek. My mind was a mess, and all I felt was a cool sensation. It was utterly delightful. I couldn't help but lean closer to soak in more. Before he could get up, I pressed him back down onto the bed. Lost in pleasure, I lost track of time. Suddenly, a creak. "Zhaoer, why are you at your elder brother's place again? Have you sobered up?" The Yen princess pushed the door open, only to see me straddling Yan Zhao. His robe was wide open, and my hand had already slipped deep inside his inner garment. You? I was startled, my vision going dark, and I fainted onto his chest. When I slowly came to, recalling what I had done. Oh my God. I had just moved to the capital with my father due to his promotion. This was my first time being invited to a banquet, and I had been drugged without reason. Better to stay unconscious. But the Yen princess's voice came from beside me. "This incident today is all due to the prince's manor's poor supervision, causing your daughter to be drugged with such a fierce aphrodisiac. I feel truly sorry. But since the children have already had intimate contact, why not choose an auspicious day? Although it was accidental, it can still become a good marriage." My mother smiled faintly, pursed her lips, and agreed. "Since things have come to this, it's for the best." I instinctively looked at Rongzhen standing at the foot of the bed. The corners of his eyes were red, his lips trembling, but in the end, he said nothing. Guards! Guards! Someone has fallen into the water." The maidservant shouted loudly. The cold pool water rushed into her nasal cavity, finally quenching that scorching heat, and her chaotic consciousness gradually cleared. I swam toward the shore. I hadn't known how to swim, but Yan Zhao did. After our marriage, he came across a line in some booklet. "When water ripples with a person, it holds a unique charm." Delighted by this, he specially had a warm pool built in a suburban villa. After visiting many times, and with his personal guidance, I learned to swim as well. Not just swimming. He was the second son of the family, with the eldest brother shouldering the Yen Prince Manor's responsibilities. He was usually spoiled by the elders and naturally did as he pleased. I was the only daughter of my family and my parents. To keep me from suffering in my in-laws' home, had planned to find me a live-in son-in-law from a young age, so I had always been carefree and lazy. The two of us truly were kindred spirits from a low mountain and murky water. We never did anything serious. All we did was think about eating, drinking, and having fun. We'd rush to grab new dishes at Shizhatesai, compete over who caught more fish fishing by the wild stream, and read popular novels together. After mistakenly buying a book of erotic illustrations, we became even more addicted, studying day and night with endless enthusiasm. My mother had worried that marrying into a prominent family would make me suffer. But the Yen family also treated me with exceptional kindness. The current emperor is in his prime, with no heir apparent established, and undercurrents are stirring among the princes. As the only prince of a different surname in Great Chu, the Yen family had no intention of getting involved in the succession dispute. However, the third prince's full sister, Princess Anning, had long admired Yen Jin. To fulfill his sister's wish and advance his own bid for the throne, the third prince bribed a maidservant to administer a drug. As it happened, that day I wore a green jacket and skirt very similar to Princess Anning's, and as it happened, Yen Zhao had drunk too much and entered the wrong chamber. By a twist of fate, the two of us took the hit for our elder brother and saved him from disaster. Because of this incident, the Yen family felt guilty toward me. Thinking back, I really was born under a lucky star, living a life of ease and comfort. It was only at the end that I learned Yen Zhao harbored resentment. What did he mean by, "It's not like I can't live without you"? I was furious and stirred the pond water vigorously. Why didn't he say it earlier? It's not like I can't live without him either. Besides, there's no such thing as can't live without someone in this world, especially in matters of the heart. As they say, love grows over time. As long as both parties are good-hearted people and know how to empathize with each other, they will surely get along harmoniously. If relatives and friends from the clan don't interfere too much, married life will be even more blissful. In my past life, wasn't it the same with Yen Zhao? But since he's unwilling, I can generously let go. It's just my sweet and lovely Jeaner. May she be reborn into my Shin family in this life, continuing our bond. I lifted my head from the water, ripples splashing and spreading far away, vanishing like a bubble without a trace. Just like the fate between Yen Zhao and me in this life, ending here. He must be happy too, I suppose. The lingering cold of early spring hasn't faded. My wet clothes catch the wind, bone-chilling cold. I climbed stiffly onto the bank. Yao, our little sister. A fur robe suddenly fell down with a shout, its wide body wrapping me completely. I looked up. I saw Rongzhen crouching in front of me with a worried face. How did he come so quickly? Don't be afraid. Big brother will take you home. Before I could think much, he lifted me by the waist. Having lived 2 lifetimes, meeting again after 50 long years, leaning against his warm and solid chest, my nose tingled slightly. In my past life, after I married into the Yen prince's mansion, Rongzhen left the capital. Yen Zhao and I slept in the same bed but with separate quilts. He never took the initiative to be close to me. I was also glad for the peace and quiet. 2 months later, I heard news of Rongzhen again, but it was the tragic news of his death while saving a child who had fallen into the water. The rushing waters swept him away, leaving no trace. Only a white silk handkerchief embroidered with his name floated on the surface. The villagers searched for days before finding his body downstream. When Yen Zhao learned of this, he was silent for a long time before speaking softly. Truly a benevolent man. 3 days later, he invited me to Xiaoling Temple to burn incense and pray. There, I lit an eternal flame for Rongzhen. After this incident, Yen Zhao inexplicably became much closer to me. He would invite me along wherever he went. Thinking back now, I wonder if it was because I basked in Rongzhen's reflected glory. Near vermilion, one gets stained red. I don't quite understand. Anyway, it's all a past life now. The wind by my ears grew sharper, and feeling Rongzhen's quickening pace, I suddenly recalled the day of my first period. Back then, I had just stood up from my seat in the Drunken Fragrance Pavilion's private room. When I saw the blood on the chair, I was scared into loud wails. Rongzhen had also scooped me up like this and rushed me to a female doctor. Afterwards, both our faces burned bright red. Shortly before my coming-of-age ceremony, Rongzhen's mother fell ill with a persistent cough and passed away. After handling the funeral, he came to propose marriage, willing to marry into the Shun family. He only asked me to wait for him while he observed a 3-year mourning period. Now more than 2 years have passed. I buried my face in his chest and said in a muffled voice, "Brother Rongzhen, in 3 months, you'll be out of mourning, right?" He tightened his arms around me slightly. Yes. Catching the faint orchid scent on him, my heart trembled. Rongzhen, in this life, you will never be alone and die young again. After returning to the mansion, I still caught a cold and was bedridden for several days. It took a week of rest to fully recover. Miss, I heard that tofu and fish soup is especially nourishing. I laughed as soon as I heard it. Qing Kuei was craving food again. Perfect timing. Spring water, mandarin fish are fat. I'm craving it too. Come on, I'll take you fishing. I flipped up like a carp and jumped off the bed, grinning. Miss, I knew you were the best. Qing Kuei smiled while helping me change clothes and do my hair. By the stream, the float suddenly sank, and the fishing line tightened and trembled slightly. My heart leaped with joy. This was clearly a big fish taking the bait. Just as I was about to lift the rod, a soft, delicate shout rang out behind me. Stop right there. Someone dashed past swiftly. Stones skittered with a faint clatter. The fish, startled, thrashed its tail, broke free from the hook, and dove into the water. As if in defiance, it leaped out of the lake one last time, its silver scales glinting brilliantly. Whoa, what a plump fish. It got away. The person turned back. Whose fault is that? And you have the nerve to say it. Anger surged within me. I glared and spun around. My pupils contracted. It was Yan Zhao, with Princess Anning in hot pursuit. Yan Zhao, am I really that repulsive? She demanded. Why do both your brother and you avoid me like the plague? My brow twitched. Oh wow, a substitute lover trope? Or a younger brother-in-law trope? I shrank back slightly. Out of the corner of my eye, I couldn't help sneaking a glance. Yan Zhao lazily lifted his eyelids, raised a brow, and sneered arrogantly. You flatter yourself, princess. The Yan family simply has no interest in the position of imperial consort. Besides, I already have someone in mind. Princess Anning frowned and blurted out, How come I didn't know? Yan Zhao suddenly turned around. Our eyes met suddenly. Startled, I stepped on a loose stone and my body pitched backward. Yan Zhao reacted swiftly. He reached out, grabbed me firmly, then leaned down, his voice husky as he murmured, Miss, help me. His warm breath brushed my earlobe. Memories of the past surged like towering waves, on the bed, by the window, in the painted boat. Countless times he had lightly nibbled my ear. Yao Yao, help me. Back then, I was like a piece of driftwood, rising and falling, scraping against hidden rocks, weakly clinging to his shoulder. That familiar tingling sensation traveled through my body across time and space. Before I could react, Yan Zhao had pulled me behind him. His low voice followed. Today I have arranged to meet my beloved here. She is always shy and timid. I hope the princess will be considerate enough. Do not disturb a loving couple's reunion. My heart pounded wildly, my limbs frozen. I could only hide behind him, pretending to be bashful. The princess was furious, flicking her sleeve and scolding. Ungrateful. It's not like I must marry into the Yan family. I was stunned, recalling Yan Zhao's words. It's not like I must have you. So this phrase is that famous? Do all the young nobles in the capital talk like this? Quite a declaration of independence. After the princess left, Yan Zhao immediately let go of me. In my past life, after the drugging incident was exposed, the palace deliberately suppressed the news, but Princess Anning was soon betrothed by the emperor. In this life, after I jumped into the pond, it was just a minor official's daughter accidentally falling into the water, naturally causing no waves. A scheme turned into a trivial matter, but judging by Yan Zhao's attitude of not wanting to get involved at all, and even using me as a shield, I instantly understood. Yan Zhao, you've also come back. That wasn't a question. It was a certainty. He didn't deny it, his gaze flickering. After a moment's hesitation, he stammered, Then that day, why didn't you come find me? I was baffled, deeply shocked. Wasn't it you who said you didn't want an illicit relationship without a proper matchmaker? I'm so generous. Of course I'd grant your wish. Yan Zhao seemed relieved. I see. That's good, then. Looking at his relieved expression, did he really need to be that glad? I curled my lip. Don't worry, I won't hold you back in this life. Rongzhen and I are about to get married. I turned to leave, but Yan Zhao suddenly grabbed my wrist, his voice urgent and fierce. Wait. Who did you say? I was confused. Rongzhen. You should remember him. In our past life, you even offered incense at his memorial. Yan Zhao's face instantly turned several shades paler. So that's it. He muttered something about compromise, childhood sweethearts, and reunion, but I couldn't hear clearly. Miss, look. I caught so many fish. Qing Kuei came running with a heavy bucket of fish. She glanced at Yan Zhao in confusion, then looked up at the sky. Miss, it's getting dark. We should head back soon, or the master and madam will worry. She pulled me away quickly. When I looked back, Yan Zhao was still standing there in a daze. Under the setting sun, his shadow was stretched long and straight, like a bare stick, ruining the view. The Shaanxi festival was only a few days away. Rongzhen came early in the morning to pick me up for an outing. Dressed in a moon-white brocade robe, with a jade hairpin securing his hair, he stood quietly in the courtyard, his features gentle and composed, showing no hint of impatience. When he saw me lift the curtain and step out, a hint of smile rippled in his eyes. Yet as his gaze fell on me, he frowned slightly. Qing Kuei, go fetch your young lady a jacket, the one with the bluebird embroidered on the cuffs. Qing Kuei looked at me. I was about to say, I didn't want it. Be good, Yaoer. Rongzhen patted my head. He spoke softly. Wasn't it just a few days ago that you were crying, saying the cold medicine was so bitter you never wanted to drink it again? The wind by the lake is strong. Brother can't bear to see you catch a chill and take medicine, and even less can he bear to see you cry. Yaoer, do it for my sake, okay? Seeing that I was tempted, he continued to persuade. I deliberately chose a bamboo green jacket to match what you're wearing today. Isn't it perfect? I didn't pick wrong, did I? I looked down at myself. A sprout yellow crossover short jacket and a pine green gauze skirt. Well, it really did suit me well. I had to admit he had good taste. By the Wild Goose Lake, young masters and ladies were chatting and laughing cheerfully. What a lively scene. Rongzhen produced a kite as if by magic, not the usual swallow kite, but a pair of blue and red lovebirds. Their beaks gently touching, wings spread as they nestled together, with twining branches around them, tender and clinging. My eyes lit up, and my cheeks flushed slightly. Did Brother Rongzhen paint this? It's beautiful. He smiled and nodded. Take it and go play. I held the kite with both hands and ran off. My sleeves fluttered lightly. The moment the wind came, I gently let go. Rongzhen skillfully released the long string, guiding it up and down, and the kite soared upward. I was about to run back. A voice drifted lazily from behind. Miss, your purse has fallen. I turned around. What the hell? It was Yan Zhao again, haunting me like a ghost. I immediately glanced at my waist. The purse was still there. Then what was that identical one in Yan Zhao's hand? When I saw the 3 water droplets embroidered on the corner, my pupils contracted sharply. I didn't like needlework, so I'd buy trendy, pretty purses and then embroider 3 droplets to lightly suggest my name, Shen Yao. Only those who know me well recognize this lazy trick of mine. What's wrong, Yaoer? In the moment I was distracted, Rongzhen had already walked over to me, leading the kite by its string. My heart suddenly tightened. That bastard Yan Zhao, not only did he buy the same pouch, but he even forged my mark, with the stitching all crooked and uneven. He copied it so well. If I say the pouch isn't mine, how can I explain those 3 drops? Would Rongzhen suspect I have a secret affair with him? I can never clear this up. I had no way out. I quickly hid my own pouch under my sleeve by tucking it into my waistband, then took the pouch from Yan Zhao's hand, thanking him through gritted teeth. Thank you for your kindness, sir. But Yan Zhao didn't stop there. I had just opened the pouch and found a top-grade warm jade inside. Returning something so precious merits only a word of thanks from the young lady. I opened the pouch to check, and sure enough, there was a piece of jade. Fine, so he's setting a chain of traps for me. I shot Yan Zhao a quick glare. That scheming dog, what does he want with all this elaborate effort? He gave a sly smile and looked toward the drunken fragrance tower by the lake. It's nearly noon, miss. Why not treat me to a good meal? Before I could respond, Rongzhen parted his thin lips and said coldly, seeing how finely the young master is dressed. A course meal at a rustic inn would hardly be fitting. As it happens, Yaoer and I are nearing our wedding day. Why not wait until an auspicious date and invite the young master to the banquet to celebrate? You can also share in the joy. Yan Zhao was momentarily speechless. His smile completely faded, and he left with a stiff face. After he left, I belatedly realized, no, Rongzhen didn't know about the entanglement between Yan Zhao and me. In this life, Yan Zhao is neither my official husband nor a secret lover. I, Shen Yao, have nothing to hide. Why panic? Blame it on the strong wind by the lake, disturbing my thoughts and messing up my hair. Rongzhen suddenly reached out and tucked a stray strand behind my ear. Yaoer, how about you stop paying attention to unimportant people? All right, play with me again in a few days, okay? Okay. I quickly agreed. Let's get married next month, all right? All right. After realizing what I had agreed to, I was startled. That fast? Rongzhen's gaze never left me. Yes, there are always petty thieves coveting treasures. I'm afraid you'll be snatched away by someone else again. His words made my cheeks burn. How could that be? I'm not made of gold. But seeing the rare hint of panic in his usually composed eyes, even the corners reddened, I softened and wrapped my arms around Rongzhen's waist. All right. Mother has been preparing for almost 3 years now. Rongzhen escorted me home. As soon as we entered the front hall, I saw my parents sitting solemnly, each holding a piece of red paper. They seemed to be discussing something. When they saw us, Mother immediately waved. Come, let's pick an auspicious day together. I specially asked the master of Xiaoling Temple to match our marriage dates. The ones on the papers are all lucky days. Father slowly stroked his beard. I think May 28th is good. The husband's star is stable and the family will thrive. Mother immediately objected. June 15th is the most auspicious. It aligns perfectly with the fate of both children. The two of them argued without end. Rongzhen looked left and right, then after a moment of contemplation, he spoke as his heart guided him. Uncle, Auntie, I would like to choose April 10th. Mother hesitated. The earliest auspicious day? Isn't that too rushed? I casually picked up a dried fruit and tossed it into my mouth. Let's go with this day. The weather is nice. My father looked puzzled. How do you know? Rongzhen also looked over. I said sheepishly, just a feeling. I couldn't exactly say that in my past life I was married on this day. The evening clouds stretched out, and the sunset glow filled the sky. Very auspicious and joyful. A servant boy came running in, panting. Master, madam, someone has come to propose marriage. To me? Who is it? The visitor had a tall, straight figure, approaching against the light. When I saw his face clearly, I wished I could faint. It was Yan Zhao, wearing a gold-embroidered brocade robe. He was neatly dressed and brimming with vitality, holding a pair of lively wild geese. Behind him followed 7 or 8 servants. With several thuds, a dozen crates of betrothal gifts filled the front hall. My father narrowed his eyes slightly. Could this be the second son of the Prince Yan's mansion? Yan Zhao bowed to my parents. Greetings, uncle and aunt. I am indeed Yan Zhao. I fell for your daughter at first sight, and upon second meeting, my heart was captivated. Today, I have specially brought betrothal gifts. Proposing marriage at the door, my father showed a troubled expression. Well, thank you for your esteemed affection, but my daughter is already betrothed. My mother leaned closer to me. She lowered her voice. Where did you pick up such a person? He looks decent, but it's hard to climb into a high-status family. It's better if we can avoid marrying in. Yan Zhao looked slightly embarrassed upon hearing this, then composed himself. I assure you, in the future, I will not take any concubines or secondary wives. I will never let your daughter suffer the slightest grievance. I earnestly beg you two to permit this marriage. My parents exchanged glances and were silent for a long while.
Sigh.
Yan Zhao didn't understand. In my mother's eyes, no matter how good a golden nest or silver nest, it's still not as good as your own doghouse. In my father's heart, what is a perfect son-in-law? Far inferior to the neighbor's son-in-law who lives with them. He and Rongzhen are simply incomparable. Just then, Rongzhen stood up. Master Yan, you've come too late. Just now, Yaoer and I have already chosen an auspicious day. We will marry on the 10th of next month with a feast for guests. I don't agree, Yan Zhao said without hesitation. Rongzhen gave a cold snort. I wonder by what status, young master, Yan says this. Just because in the previous life I was Yao Yao's husband, Yan Zhao almost blurted out. My heart pounded wildly. What nonsense are you talking? Mother and father both looked at me. I quickly turned away. What previous life? If young Master Yen is having delusions, you can call the imperial physician to treat you, instead of making a scene at someone else's residence. Rong Zhen remained expressionless. Young Master Rong, I am the one suited for Yao Yao. I am 4 years younger than you. I am physically strong, able to accompany her for over 50 years. Can you? I met Yaoer in childhood, knew her in youth. Naturally, I can stay with her into old age. Some people shouldn't overestimate themselves. I'm afraid young Master Rong may face a risk of early death, not necessarily reaching old age. That's no need for an outsider, like young Master Yen, to worry about. The two were at each other's throats, neither giving an inch. Have they gone mad? My father was stunned. Shut up. Don't interrupt. I'm watching the show. My mother stared intently. I couldn't stand it any longer, silently sighed and stood up. Yen Zhao, come out. All the way, Yen Zhao followed behind me. Without a word, I found a secluded spot, turned around, and stopped.
Speak. Why?
We locked eyes, and I saw the rims of Yen Zhao's eyes gradually turn red. He said, aggrieved, You really do care about him. The moment you return, you're going to marry him. What do you mean by care? Rong Zhen and I have been betrothed since long ago. If it weren't for the 3 years of mourning, we might have had children by now. I answered bluntly, without overthinking. Since we are bound by engagement, marriage is only natural. Yen Zhao stepped closer. Then what about me? What am I to you? I'm only 17, and you've already touched every inch of my body. We ate and slept together for a full 57 years. Can't that compare to the mere 18 years you've known him? The more he spoke, the more wronged he felt, and a mist gathered in his eyes. I lowered my gaze, not daring to look at him. Yen Zhao, that was all in the past life. Life in the prince's mansion was very comfortable, and you treated me extremely well. So, even if you didn't want a future life with me, I had no complaints. But I don't understand. I've already stayed away from you, as you wished. Then why did you still? But I do have complaints. Yen Zhao suddenly interrupted me. His chest heaved violently, and his tone rose abruptly. I resent you for being childhood sweethearts with someone else, resent that I'm only your second choice, resent that you always brush me off like a child, and even more, resent that a few words from you are enough to soothe me. I was stunned, suddenly recalling the first few months after I married into the Yen prince's mansion. Yen Zhao always gave me pastries or jewelry I didn't like, but considering his good intentions, I would accept them with a smile. However, I barely ate the pastries and seldom wore the jewelry. There was no help for it. I could only say it in passing. When it came to real matters, I wouldn't force myself for anyone else's sake. Until one day, Yen Zhao sent a plate of honey date cakes. He came back only to see that I had given them all to the servants without taking a single bite. He was furious. You really don't like sweets. Since you don't like them, why didn't you tell me? You've never treated me as your husband. Knowing I was in the wrong, I weakly explained, It's not that I'm ungrateful. I just didn't want to go against your wishes. Yen Zhao stared at me expressionlessly. After a long while, he suddenly said, Are you still thinking about that childhood friend of yours? I was speechless. What did that have to do with anyone else? He snorted coldly, turned, and left, sleeping in the study for days on end. I sent off Yapagon Tea to the study for 2 days, but he still didn't let go of his anger. I couldn't be bothered to court trouble. That night, Yen Zhao sneaked into my room in the dark. His voice was cold and hard. I had only sent it for 2 days, and then stopped. I turned my back to him, not wanting to talk. Behind me, a warm body pressed against me. Yen Zhao buried his head in the crook of my neck. I was wrong, sister. Don't ignore me. This was the first time Yen Zhao called me sister. Remembering that I was indeed 1 year older than him, I softened again. I could only turn around and hug him back. I was also wrong. I know you put in effort. From now on, let's be honest with each other. Growing old together in harmony, okay? He gave a barely audible. Then don't be angry anymore, okay? Being angry is bad for your health, not worth it. I stroked his head. Yen Zhao, like a little puppy, was appeased instantly. He quickly undressed and crawled straight into the covers. I'm not bad at all. You can touch. A brief separation is like a honeymoon. After that, he never mentioned Rongzhen again. Every gift he gave was to my liking, as if guided by a divine hand. I thought this matter was over, but who would have thought it was far from finished? You don't understand at all. I blame heaven and earth, blame this and that. It's all because you don't love me as much as I love you. A tear slipped from his eye, and it pained me to see it. Yan Zhao. I meant every word I said. But so what? Yan Zhao wiped the remaining tears from his cheeks. I come back just a few days late, and you're already marrying someone else. If I were a year late, would you have a child by now? Right, the child. Fine, forget about me, but what about our sweet and lovely Jeaner? The one who always calls you mother in her soft voice? Don't you want her either? I opened my mouth but couldn't say a word of denial. Yet I knew all too well that it's better to cut ties decisively than to let chaos brew. Now, my marriage with Rongjun was set in stone. Yan Zhao was only 17, with countless good matches ahead. Dragging it out would hurt all three of us. I steeled myself, braced my nerves. That's right. If it weren't for the drug, we would never have had this destined bond as husband and wife. We were a mistake from the start. As I expected, Yan Zhao's face darkened instantly. He swayed, nearly collapsing. Gritting his teeth, he said through clenched words, "Shen Yao, you're ruthless. You leave me no choice." Watching Yan Zhao's back as he left in sorrow and anger, my heart was both bitter and uneasy, faintly stirring up a sense of unease. He had always acted willfully. I had no idea what trouble he might stir up. I dared not casually go out anymore, afraid of being caught by Yan Zhao again. These past few days, his gloomy and pained face kept lingering in my mind. Just in time, with less than half a month until the wedding, splendid manner sent over the embroidered wedding dress. Only the phoenix on the red veil needed my finishing touch, so I settled at home to cram at the last minute. During an afternoon nap, I was awakened by a commotion. I rubbed my eyes. "Chinkue, what's happening outside?" Soon, Chinkue returned after inquiring. "Miss, the wealthy merchant next door is packing up his belongings. He says he's moving the whole family back to the countryside to spend his remaining years in leisure. That mansion is so beautiful. I wonder who will end up getting it in the end." And also, she hesitated, as if wanting to say more. "What is it?" I asked. "Miss," she said, "I'd like to ask for an advance on next month's allowance. The merchant is selling off items he can't take with him. I fancy a little bird oil lamp to give to my mother." My interest piqued. I immediately got up. "Come, let's go take a look together. Consider that lantern a gift to your mother, thanking her for giving birth to you, such an obedient and clever girl. No wonder you're from the capital's most renowned wealthy merchant family." A single glance revealed many novel things I'd never seen before. After making a full round, I had gained quite a haul, but my money pouch had slimmed down considerably. To avoid being scolded by my parents for being wasteful, I instructed Chinkue to secretly take my tired old belongings and pawn them. When night fell, someone tapped lightly on the window lattice. I pushed open the window and saw it was Rongjun. His silhouette was frail under the moonlight. He stood quietly by the window, his brows tinged with an unshakable gloom, and an intense sense of devastation radiated from him. My heart skipped a beat. What major event had happened? It had actually caused this most proper and rule-abiding person to commit such a transgressive act. Rongjun climbed in through the window. I stepped back. "Brother Rongjun, why are you here?" He stared at me blankly, and without speaking, his eyes slowly reddened. I asked again, "What's wrong?" Rongjun suddenly stepped forward and hugged me tightly. His voice was muffled. "Yaoer, please don't elope, okay? Don't abandon me. I can accept Lord Yen as a second husband. Have pity on me, please. I've waited so long, and finally our wedding is near." I'm completely confused. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." Rongjun's long eyelashes fluttered. His eyes churned with grievance and sorrow. "Don't hide it from me. I saw everything. You secretly sent Chinkue to the pawn shop to pawn many things, all exchanged for silver. If it weren't for preparing to elope, why would you be short of money? So that's the reason." He misunderstood. I was about to explain. But Rongjun suddenly raised his finger and gently pressed it against my lips, as if afraid I might say something he didn't want to hear. "I know you two were devoted to each other in your past life. And you even had a daughter. But he stole the position of husband from me once before. This time, give it back to me. At least let us get married first. Then you can rekindle your old love, okay?" I opened my mouth. Rongjun's gaze moved downward, his eyes growing deep.
Yeah.
Can I be the first person to kiss you in this life? Before I could nod, he removed his finger and leaned down. My mind went blank. I didn't have time to think about anything. The gentle strength wrapped around me like the wind. When the kiss ended, our foreheads touched, holding for a long time. I composed myself, barely calming my breath. You heard everything that day. Rongzhen's eyes flickered. He didn't nod but didn't deny either. I felt guilty and bit my lip. I'm sorry. I really can't bring myself to be completely ruthless toward Yan Zhao, but I never intended to run away from the marriage. I explained what happened in the neighboring courtyard. Rongzhen looked to the side and murmured softly, moving the entire household away. I see. Yan Zhao seemed to have given up and didn't appear until the wedding day. With a creak, the door to the wedding chamber was pushed open. Who is it? My heart suddenly leaped into my throat until I heard Rongzhen's gentle voice. Yaoer, I brought some pastries. You can have something to fill your stomach first. With all the morning wedding affairs, your stomach must be empty. I immediately lifted the bridal veil, and when I looked up, I met his beaming eyes. I knew you couldn't wait. Rongzhen instructed. Take your time eating. I'll come see you when I have a chance. Shortly after, the door opened again. I was eating happily without even looking up and blurted out, Don't worry, I won't starve myself. The newcomer's voice was deep and heavy. Is it delicious? I finally looked up, startled to find it was Yan Zhao. Why you? Why are you here? My heart was in turmoil. On Yao Yao's happy wedding day. How could your husband not come? Dressed in red, he walked straight to the table and poured wine. My pupils contracted sharply. What are you trying to do? What am I trying to do? Don't you know? Yan Zhao held the wine cup, tilted his head back, and drained it. The next moment, a strong arm wrapped around my waist, and the pungent wine was poured into my lips. Caught off guard, I choked and coughed lightly, immediately pushing him away and shooting him a glare. Have you lost your mind? Yeah, driven mad by you. Yan Zhao smiled crookedly. I suppose this counts as sharing the nuptial cup. Suddenly, footsteps sounded outside the door. Yan Zhao wiped the wine stain from my lips with his thumb. For today, consider this interest. We have a long time ahead. He leaped out the window. I finally steadied myself just as Rongzhen pushed open the door. So urgent, he asked, his meaning unclear. Huh, I was dazed for a moment. Your lipstick is smudged. His gaze was heavy, as if it physically touched the corner of my lips. Hearing this, my heart pounded with guilt. I was starving, absolutely ravenous. Rongzhen didn't say a word as he pulled out a handkerchief and carefully wiped my face clean. All right, you're presentable now. My face grew redder, my heart racing. In a fluster, I busied myself with something to do. Brother Rongzhen, let's drink the nuptial wine. I reached for the wine pot on the table, but I found only one empty wine cup left on the table. Damn it, Yan Zhao, he'd even swiped a cup in passing. The maid must have been too busy today. Let's eat first. I called Qing Kuei over to bring some more appetizers for the wine. After the nuptial wine, a few more cups down, I was gradually tipsy. Huh, why are there two brother Rongzhens? He helplessly tapped my head. Little drunkard, still calling me brother? I tilted my head back and smiled at him. Husband. The next moment, I was lifted by the waist. Yaoer, you're finally mine. Lost in a haze, I seemed to fall into soft, billowy clouds. The warmth of his palm traced over me inch by inch. The red candle flickered all night. I felt as if I had melted away, too exhausted to know when sleep claimed me. Waking up, I saw traces of red plum blossoms. My face instantly flushed. Did we kiss that many places last night? One's own territory is indeed comfortable, except for getting tired easily at night. Everything else was perfect. I had a few peaceful days, when suddenly an invitation came from next door. It specified that I should attend alone. Judging by the handwriting and stroke, I knew at a glance it was from Yan Zhao. I ignored it. If he had business, he could come to me himself. The second day, third day, fourth day, one after another, until the fifth day. Shun Yao, you heartless woman. If you don't come by noon tomorrow, you can collect my corpse. The letter had messy ink stains and teardrop marks. I was lost in thought. Go ahead. Rongzhen appeared, I don't know when. I looked up at him. His face was calm, unreadable. So generous? Aren't you jealous? A shadow fell before me. Rongzhen lowered his head to kiss me, then lightly bit me. I felt a slight pain. You are the most sentimental person. If he really torments himself to death, wouldn't that make you remember him forever? After all, I am the legitimate wife. No matter how he fusses, he can only be a concubine and one who comes with a house. I was slightly surprised. You even know this? That day when you mentioned the commotion in the neighboring courtyard, I had already anticipated it. Romjan paused, then curled his lips into a smile. From this perspective, he and I are somewhat alike. In what way? Both want to stay by your side. I didn't know what to say. I could only grab his collar and respond with actions. The next morning, Romjan handed me a booklet. Take this with you. Have him sign it. I opened it and couldn't help laughing. Time passed quickly, and by noon, I stepped into the neighboring courtyard. The house was large, but there was not a single servant in sight. I walked through the halls all the way to the innermost room before catching a glimpse of a figure. Seeing me appear, Yan Zhao immediately sat up straight and unhurriedly poured a pack of white powder into a cup. He stirred it evenly. I frowned. What is this? Medicine for lovesickness. He stared into my eyes while raising the cup to take a small sip. As if savoring some fine nectar, I felt a looming sense of foreboding. Sure enough, the next moment came a thud sound. The teacup fell to the ground. Thin sweat broke out on his forehead, and an unnatural flush spread across his cheeks. Yao Yao, I'm so hot. At this scene, I instantly thought of my previous life. And that line, you forced me into this. You took the same drug the third prince used. My heart was in my throat. No, he shook his head. I was about to breathe a sigh of relief when I heard Yan Zhao say, I took the strongest kind. If you don't touch me, I'll die. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, my scalp tingling. I'll go find a doctor for you. I turned to leave, but Yan Zhao grabbed my arm. It's useless, he said, his voice choked with tears. This is a royal secret drug. Ordinary doctors can't undo it. Now only you can save me, Yao Yao.
Help me.
I only want you. You took the drug yourself. What are you crying for? My forehead throbbed with veins, confused and annoyed. Seeing that I didn't move, Yan Zhao pushed me away. Fine, just go. Leave me here to live or die on my own. Anyway, in your heart, I'm no different from a dead man. No, it'd be better if I were dead. If I'm dead, no one will stop you from living happily with your live-in husband. I put on a cold face. Then I'll really go. I made a move to leave, but as soon as I stood up, Yan Zhao held me tightly. His body was burning hot. Don't go, sister. I was wrong.
Please don't leave.
But his tears were icy cold, dripping one by one into the hollow of my neck. After all these years, he still uses the same trick. I shamefully softened. Seeing me turn around, Yan Zhao's hazy eyes lit up. He panted softly and kissed my hand. You're really a mad dog. I took the opportunity to push him onto the couch. Instead of getting angry, he was delighted. That's right. You can't abandon your dog. The bed curtains fell. It seemed something dropped to the floor, but no one had the attention to spare. Yao Yao, you're amazing. Just set on fire by you, then drenched through. I hadn't heard Yan Zhao speak so wantonly in a long time. My ears immediately burned hot. Blood rushed to my head. I raised my hand and slapped him. Shut up. Hurry up. He turned his face and laughed, pecking at my palm. All right. This humble body of mine is at your disposal, my lord. Saying that, he followed orders. Yao Yao, my lord, are you satisfied? Why don't you say something, Yao Yao? Yao Yao, my good Yao Yao. Yao Yao. I couldn't stand it anymore. I lifted my head and stopped his flirtatious words. When I woke up again, what's this? Yan Zhao picked up a book from the floor. He flipped it to the front cover. 6 large characters were written. Rules for the Shun family's mistress. No more than 4 times per month, no overnight stays. Maintain boundaries, avoid excessive fatigue, and take contraceptive tea proactively afterward. Strictly adhere to the duties of a virtuous man. Diligently cultivate appearance and posture. Learn the art of massage to relieve fatigue within 6 months, and act discreetly in public. Keep quiet. No fewer than 30 rules. Why does he have so many demands? Yan Zhao angrily slapped the table. I can't do them. I gave him a cold glance. I think it's necessary. You're the one who tends to act reckless. Add one more. No drugging yourself. Yan Zhao knew he was in the wrong. He obediently signed and affixed his seal. But the next day, he opened a small door in the adjoining wall. This way, he could come and go without using the main gate or climbing over the wall, unobstructed. What I didn't expect was that this door was abandoned after just a few days. Ever since Yan Zhao was caught by my mother during one of his late-night visits, the two of us, no. The three of us had our arrangement out in the open, so he simply found a side room in my courtyard to stay in. When Rongzhen discovered this, he was furious. "You're just a kept man. Go back to your own house." Yan Zhao slapped down a deed. "That's not my house. It's Yao Yao's." And sure enough, it had my name on it. I exchanged a mansion for a side room, and even mother agreed. Brother wouldn't be that intolerant, would he? Rongzhen rarely gets put in his place. That night, he never stopped talking. Even if he moves in, you can't make exceptions for him. Don't call him husband. Don't stay overnight at his place consecutively. Forbidden. The next day, I met with my mother with dark circles under my eyes. "My dear mother, you've ruined me. I can barely take it after this one night." In the days that followed, my mother was eating watermelon. She spat out a seed and rolled her eyes at me. "Enough. Don't act like you're the victim when you've gotten the better end of the deal. I know you too well. You're so lazy. Running back and forth between two mansions is exhausting. Your mother has made the decision for you. A family shouldn't live in two houses. Besides, these two are always at each other's throats. It's so entertaining. Don't stop me from watching the show." I then looked at my father. He secretly gave me a thumbs up. "Daughter, the continuation of the Shin family line depends on you. The three of you need to work hard. Work hard. Ahem." End of main story. Extra Chapter 1. The Vengeful Ghost. The moment he was swallowed by the flood, Rongzhen deeply regretted not saying a proper goodbye to Yaoer. But luckily, the ghost messenger told him he wasn't meant to die. He had taken on the fate of an early death for that child, who would later improve crop seeds and benefit countless people. As repayment and compensation, the underworld could let him be reborn into a good life or be reincarnated. Without a second thought, Rongzhen chose the latter. He wanted to go back together with Yaoer. Thus, while waiting for the world to restart, he remained in the Prince Yan's manor as a ghost. Perhaps because of his ghostly form, Rongzhen found it hard to suppress his resentment, especially after seeing the little thief trying every way to please Yaoer. Sometimes the thief would offer a jade hairpin. "No taste at all. Yaoer prefers gold ornaments," he muttered inwardly. Sometimes, the thief would bring back a pastry. Another wasted effort. Yaoer doesn't like sweets. Rongzhen breathed a sigh of relief. At least he was stupid. He only knew to send gifts without observing. How could he win a woman's heart like that? But this silly thief had a sincere heart. He had a mouth and could cry, could throw tantrums and act spoiled, easily softening Yaoer's heart. Damn it! The resentment grew heavier. Rongzhen was sullen. But soon, he discovered that resentment could create dreams. Yaoer was a person who went with the flow. In this life, he didn't want to disturb her again. However, this little thief, he wouldn't let him off easily. So Rongzhen wove dream after dream. Sometimes it was the memories of him and Yaoer as innocent childhood friends, chasing eaves and butterflies, studying together at the same desk. Other times, it was the rest of their lives that they should have spent together, holding her brow pencil, adding incense by her sleeve. Every time he saw the jealous expression on Yan Zhao's face when he woke up, Rongzhen felt immense satisfaction. A strong and robust man. How could he not push away a weak woman who had been drugged? He even allowed her to grope him. It was just lust at first sight, putting on an act. If it were a man from an ordinary family, he would take charge and pay him off with some silver. If he had some charm and made a big fuss, finding a house to keep him outside was also possible. But it happened to be the second son of Prince Yan, and he was caught red-handed by the Princess of Yan. His wife ultimately married someone else. The enmity of stealing one's wife was irreconcilable. Later, Rongzhen felt himself growing weaker and weaker until something in the void called him awake. He realized with a start that he had been unconscious for many years, sleeping all the way to Yaoer's dying moments. This life was about to end. Rongzhen felt joy, yet also anticipation. But when he heard Yaoer making an appointment with that scoundrel for the next life, even though ghosts have no bodies, why did a sharp pain still pierce his chest? People are not made of grass or wood. Who can be without feelings? Yet Rongzhen still refused to accept it. So what? Even if it was a mistake of fate, it's still a mistake. Yaoer, I've come to take you away." Before his words faded, a sudden invisible force struck, violently pulling him out of that world. When he opened his eyes again, he had returned to before that accident. After being reborn, Rongzhen immediately ran to the side chamber, but found Yaoer in the pond. Sure enough, she had also been reborn. The 18-year-old Xin Yao didn't know how to swim. Did this mean that in this life, she had chosen him? But unexpectedly, Yan Zhao had also come back. Rongzhen was truly unsettled. He went alone to Xiaoling Temple to pray for a good match. When he had drawn 3 times without getting the supreme fortune and wanted to continue, Master Xianming slowly counseled him. "Patron, the bond from a past life is not yet ended. We will meet again in this mortal world. Since you've already forced it, why be so harsh?" The words pierced his ears like a thunderbolt. Rongzhen stood frozen on the spot. A monstrous wave surged in his heart. He and Yaoer had a destiny spanning 2 lives. Yan Zhao was no different. In the past life, they even had a child. How could such a deep fate be severed? In the end, in this life, he was the legitimate husband. Generosity was a privilege of the principal wife. That kid, no matter how he made a fuss, could only be an unacknowledged mistress outside the house. Rongzhen figured it out, so when he encountered Yan Zhao buying medicine, he did not stop him, only warned him sternly, "If you want to use this, use it on yourself. Don't use it on Yaoer." Yan Zhao shot him a glance, both angry and annoyed. "Do you even need to say that? Of course I know." After a long moment, he turned his face away, mumbling an ambiguous reply. "Thank you, big brother, for your blessing." Brat, now he's getting cocky. Isn't the next step to barge through the front door? Pride from favoritism. No, he had to guard against it. Side story 2. The jealous husband. Yan Zhao's heart pounded wildly. Just a few cups of light wine led to such a beautiful dream. The woman in his arms had a graceful appearance, and her actions were even more amorous and unrestrained. He half resisted, half yielded, indulging in it, until he heard a familiar cry of surprise. Though the drunken dream ended, the beauty still remained. After the crowd dispersed, his mother asked him what he planned to do. This dandy, who always loved to contradict everything, replied shyly for the first time, "As mother decides." And so the marriage was settled. Less than a month into marriage, Yan Zhao suspected he was bewitched. Otherwise, why would a line of text suddenly appear before his eyes? Finally seeing Yaoer again? Yaoer, his wife. He dared not get too close to his wife, fearing the filth on him would offend her, even sleeping in separate quilts when sharing the bed, until the remains of an old friend were brought to the capital for burial. After some investigation, Yan Zhao had a bold conjecture. He accompanied his wife to Xiaoling Temple to light an everlasting lamp. When offering incense for Rongzhen, Yan Zhao said aloud, "He is indeed a righteous man." But in his heart he thought, kind brother, since you have sacrificed your life for righteousness, might as well see it through. Stop pestering my wife." For several days, the text did not appear again. Yan Zhao was a little relieved and picked a jade hairpin for his wife. But the text appeared again. No taste at all.
Yaya prefers gold ornaments.
Yan Zhao didn't believe it. Yao Yao had happily accepted the hairpin. She smiled so beautifully, he was mesmerized. How could she not like it? Later, the text appeared repeatedly. Yaoer doesn't like yellow dresses. They attract bugs. What's so special about this fruit? Yaoer has eaten it since childhood. Giving it away for free? Yaoer doesn't like sweets. Nonsense. He ignored it all. Yan Zhao refused to believe it, but his feet somehow turned back. He saw his wife giving the honey date sweet cake to a servant. Jealousy burned Yan Zhao out of reason, and he brought up Rongzhen for the first time willingly. That night, Yan Zhao wept alone in the study. The next afternoon, his wife sent a pot of Ophiophagon tea. The third afternoon, another pot of Ophiophagon tea. It seemed his wife still had him in her heart. Yan Zhao had cooled down. He thought that as long as another pot of wine came, he would be fine. But on the afternoon of the 4th day, the tea never came. By evening, it still hadn't arrived. Until the night was deep and dark, it never came. Yan Zhao panicked. Without him, his wife could still enjoy herself. He hurried back to the room, and the moment he held his wife in his arms, Yan Zhao couldn't help but cry. When his wife hugged him back, he wanted to cry even more. That night, as they reconciled, Yan Zhao had a dream. He dreamed of a mischievous little girl who was clearly Yao Yao as a child, followed by an annoying little boy. Yan Zhao woke up expressionlessly. Was he going to compete with a dead person? How ridiculous. And all of it was just a dream. Even more absurd. After many days passed, Yan Zhao went to Xiaoling Temple again. Previously, Master Xianming had said that this ghost was different from ordinary ghosts, that it couldn't be ferried over without cleansing its earthly grievances, and since it had committed no evil deeds, it couldn't be eliminated. This time, with dark circles under his eyes, he visited again. Master Xianming gave him a talisman paper, saying it could suppress the ghostly aura and make it fall asleep. After that, Yan Zhao never mentioned Rongzhen again. He deliberately put that name out of his mind. Over 50 years passed in a blink. Does Yao Yao have him in her heart? Yan Zhao thought, she probably does. But is the one she loves most him? If he hadn't intervened back then, would she and Rongzhen have been happier? Yan Zhao didn't want to, and even dared not, delve deeper. So when he saw those familiar words again, Yao Yao, I've come to take you away. In an instant, jealousy gnawed at his heart and mind. The unease and fear he had suppressed for decades all burst out. If they still longed for each other and would reunite in the underworld, then what was he? Yan Zhao's face instantly turned cold. He spoke recklessly. Less than half a month later, he died of melancholy. When he opened his eyes again, Yan Zhao was suddenly stunned. He hadn't arrived at the underworld. Instead, he had returned to the year he was 17. But the flower viewing banquet was already over. He called for a servant from the mansion to inquire about what had happened that day, only to learn that nothing major had occurred. This was somewhat strange. He tried every way to create an opportunity for a chance encounter. Sure enough, Yao Yao had also returned, but she didn't want him anymore. No matter, his lady is the most soft-hearted. It's simply that in this lifetime, it's his turn. He will also cling tightly to Yao Yao like a ghost, just wait.